I'd like to share two stories with you today. The first is about this amazing kid, Mohammed. Mohammed's from northern Ghana in a little village called Nyalogo. About half the year, it's hot and dry and dusty. And the other half the year, it's rainy with green fields between sparse trees. I met Mohammed about 6 years ago when I spent a little bit of time with his family, working on his father's small farm, gathering water, just kind of living life together. We've stayed in touch ever since, and I'm really proud of where Mohammed has gone. He has these ambitious plans to attend university, to change his community, to change Ghana. I had this amazing privilege just recently to be able to travel to Ghana along with my wonderful partner, Sari, to meet Mohammed and spend a little bit of time with him. We caught up just as friends do and chatted a little bit. And while we did so, though, Mohammed told me something that was a little bit tough. It was tough news. Said that while he was doing great in high school, he was top of his class, his father wasn't going to have enough money this year to pay for his school fees. For lack of $150, Mohammed was going to have to quit school for at least a year. Sari and I talked, and we decided we were going to pay his school fees. You can imagine how ecstatic Mohammed was when we told him this news. His dad had this beautiful smile on his face. His mom was giggling. Sari and I were laughing and smiling, that smile that hurts your cheeks. It felt just great. But we also knew that it wasn't enough. There's thousands of kids in northern Ghana like Mohammed. We knew that there's nothing that'll guarantee that next year Mohammed's father is going to be able to pay his school fees. And when Mohammed goes to school, he's in a crowded class and his teacher doesn't show up sometimes, and there's definitely no responsive government for him to go to that will address these problems. And that's where my second story comes in. My second story is about Malawi. Malawi is a country of about 15 million people, and ideally, every single one of them would have access to a clean, safe, reliable source of water, like all of us expect. According to the official count, though, you have about 2 million people who don't have access to water. When I got on the ground 2 years ago and actually walked village to village, in some villages, I would see 3, 4, 5 water pumps. Others, there would only be one. And the result is that you actually have a whole set of people who are completely missed in addition to those 2 million. And then there's the broken water pumps. They dot the landscape, just sitting there unused. About 25% of all water systems in Malawi are sitting there broken. The most offensive of those was a project I visited. It was a Canadian-funded project delivered by a Canadian engineering firm. And you see that project right here, and in the shadow of this last remaining tap, out of about 100, is actually an American-funded project implemented by an American-funded engineering firm just a few years prior to that. And it's sitting there, dilapidated, looking at the identical Canadian-funded project that replaced it. This is outrageous. You literally have broken water systems being built on top of broken water systems and people who don't have water because of it. So the question we asked with Engineers Without Borders is, do you actually need any more water pumps built in Malawi? What we did instead was we asked, what is the root cause of this problem? And how do we get at it? One of the things that we developed was a way to collect information about where every water point is and where every village is and match those two pieces of information together, display them in a simple way so that somebody like Mr. Chapanda, who's a great partner of ours, a colleague, a Malawian colleague of ours, he's a district water officer in Malawi, so that somebody like him has all this information at his fingertips and can say, that's where we need to repair a pump. And in the off chance that you need to put a new one, that's where it belongs. Now, this is a powerful change, but it's also problematic. took 3 years, tens of thousands of hours of our volunteers' time, in addition to tens of thousands of hours of Malawian time, to even get there. We've only been able to scale it to a quarter of the country, leaving 3/4 untouched. And we know that it's actually only one small piece of the greater puzzle that gets every Malawian water. And in the meantime, you still have lots of people who don't have any clean water. And so these two stories come together and cause us to address what I think is one of the most difficult challenges in international development, this choice that we're often forced to make, especially when it's about Africa's development. Should we follow our heart, or should we follow our head? Because following our heart is compelling. $10 for a bed net, going to Tanzania to volunteer in an orphanage, $150 for Muhammad's school fees. It's immediate, it's personal. But we know that it's rarely enough. At the same time, following your head is problematic. Because while you might advocate for government policies or take an approach like the one we took in Malawi, you can so easily have these tools be disconnected from the realities on the ground. And you can actually start representing people with numbers, and you start moving those around in a spreadsheet. And then you start looking at this massive problem and the enormity of it, and it just becomes something that you can't even get your head around anymore. The real power, we believe, and I believe, my 12 years of working in international development is saying, let's eschew this false choice between the heart and the head, and let's pull them together, because that's where the power lies. And that's where everyone within Engineers Without Borders, thousands of people who've put in millions of hours of their time, that's what they've done. They've combined the head and the heart together, because that brings true partnership. The head and the heart together brings true empathy. The head and the heart together brings true common understanding. And the real magic behind this, the real magic and the real big idea, is that each of us can have our own personal way of doing this. We can each make it our own way of bringing our heart and head together to address some of the most challenging problems in the world. Whether it's as global citizens, whether it's as investors, whether it's as practitioners. And that's what I throw out to you today as a challenge. Figure out what that personal heart and head combination is and how to make it as powerful as you possibly can, because my experience is that it is. And the real beauty of this, the real incredible beauty, is that if I go back and I think about Muhammad, I think about what's going to get him through school, whether there's a teacher there or not, what's going to get him to university, what's going to allow him to change his community and change Ghana from within Ghana, is that he's going to bring his heart and his head together. And we should only be so inspired. Thanks for having me.